I can tell you from personal experience, going to get annual exam every year, not just a mammogram, but going to see my gynecologist, having a pap smear every year. One year they found some precancerous cells on my cervix, but it was over like a third of the cervix. So they really thought that it was, more advanced than it was. So I mean, and I go every single year. So what if I had missed that particular year and waited? It could have been a totally different outcome, because even though it looked bad when they did the biopsy, they were precancerous cells. They were in, it was a simple procedure. It took 15 minutes to cut them out of me in my doctor's office. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between, prevention, going for your preventative checkups versus skipping them and hoping for the best. If you catch it early, then your outcome is a lot, well, you're more likely to have a much better outcome. Let's just put it that way.
Right. And I tell you, from a man's perspective, man, we don't like going to the doctor.
Y'all
We
do
really
not.
don't like going at all, and so, but that advice is something that all of us should adhere to. Catch it early, then you have a better chance of survival, and, not letting it escalate to the point that you need to have major surgeries or even worse.
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely. So we really appreciate your show there. And so anyway, the Boomerang Radio Show coming to you each and every Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are just tuning in. And we try to bring issues that's important to you. I get a lot of texts about our shows. They love our topics. We have many, many topics that we're going to talk about, and we're going to cover out through the rest of the year and going forward. We want to talk. There's a few things we want to talk about, because this being a political season, our fans, they really want to know, hey, man, what's going on here? Because a lot of people do not look at the news, and a lot of news that they hear, Mike and I, we talked about this earlier today. You have no idea who's telling you the truth. And in many cases, the major news outlets, they're feeding false information. And, there was a period of time, and in our history in this country, that was no. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. That was the end of your career. You could get fired or sued or whatever. But now it's open season, right? I understand that we have a First Amendment right, but just like you can't scream bomb on an airport or fire in a crowded movie theater, some things should be restricted. So anyway, got a lot on our on the table today. We're going to talk about the upcoming election, but I want to address a couple of things, because over the last couple of weeks, we're talking about the danger of lying and what it does to not only the person that you are lying on, but to yourself and to your surroundings, you see. So it's just a bad thing. So I want to clear up something, because, there are a certain party, they were talking about Haitians eating immigrants eating cats and birds and dogs and cats and things of that nature. But I wanted to share something with you that I found that was sort of enlightening. Well, it was enlightening to me this week. And I just want to share this with the panel, and we'll come back, we'll comment on this a little bit later on. Let's see if we can get some volume here. Here we go.
Money to buy up all the dilapidated, condemned, and boarded up homes in Springfield, then fixing those houses up to make them livable again. This is raising property values across the city and county to the point where the valuation of all real estate in the city surpassed $1 billion last year for the first time ever. This in turn increases the property taxes paid to Clark County for those homes that are now no longer boarded up nuisances. How awful. I can't believe they're helping to fund our government and beautify our neighborhoods. These Haitian immigrants.
This is a brilliant approach from Amanda, because it directly debunks the false narrative Republicans push that immigrants are exploiting taxpayer-funded programs, essentially stealing benefits from American citizens. In reality, immigrant communities help fund said programs just like everyone else. And in Springfield's case, have actually increased funding by helping to raise everyone's property values. But you'll never hear that from Republicans because earlier this year, a group representing 170 Republican elected officials sent out a budget proposal that would cut $1.5 trillion of Social Security benefits over the next 10 years, in addition to raising the federal retirement age to 69 years old, whether it be roads, bridges, schools, Social Security, Medicare, or any other government service. The Republican Party is fundamentally opposed to using the tax revenue our labor generates to provide us with the basic services we deserve. Now, more from Amanda.
These Haitian immigrants are now spending money in our community to where new restaurants and retail spaces keep opening up across the city, and not just businesses run by Haitian. What absolute madness. Now we have new businesses in town generating more tax revenue for our city and county. I have a good paying job with great benefits. I don't need SNAP or TAMP, but because I have main character syndrome and the entire world should revolve around me, I want the exorbitant benefits that some of these Haitian immigrants get, which is $292 for SNAP, aka food stamps, and $363 in cash per month for a single adult. Everyone knows that $655 per month lets you live like a millionaire in Springfield. I don't need it, but I want it before anyone else, because why should we help folks who have legally come to our country, but they have to wait for their work permit so they don't starve, feeding the hungry in our community?
You could not find a better summary and explanation of the mindset these right-wingers live with. Instead of being happy that our government is providing the literal bare necessities for someone to live, they see it as an unfair, unjustifiable affront to their existence, and explicitly or not, would rather see people die in the streets instead of minding their own business and letting these people live their lives.
As the senator from the great state of Ohio, J.D. Vance, said back in 2021, childless cat ladies are ruining America. As a childless cat lady, I take my duty to ruin America very seriously. I do this by simply choosing to live my life differently than J.D. Vance's personal religious beliefs would dictate me to do. Mayor Rue, Commissioners Estrop, Brown, Houston, and Tackett, I hope you sit up there and think about what you've done. Because of your support of the Haitian community and the rest of Springfield and Clark County, how am I supposed to ruin America if I can't even ruin Springfield first? I am so disappointed in you. Thank you.
A massive shout out to Amanda Richardson for standing up for her Haitian neighbors and the town of Springfield as it continues to deal with the manufactured onslaught of hate from J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and the Republicans who have unleashed hell on their community. And another massive shout out goes to this man.
This is for my Haitian friend. Don't let anybody's ignorance, hate, drama, or negativity stop you from being the best person you can be. Some people are wanting to see you fail. Some people are waiting to see you quit. Let them wait forever. The best thing you learn from the worst time of your life is that you get to see the true color of everybody. And I appreciate you. And I want to compliment y'all. You're doing a good job regardless what somebody else say. But we all got to remember, we can't never please everybody.
Be sure to check out Walter Masterson's full video at the link in the description box below to see the good and the bad of how the community is grappling with unmitigated hate and lies being spewed by one of the most powerful people in the world.
No problems, no real crime, no beautiful community. They just dropped 30,000 illegal aliens in Springfield, Ohio, and it's become a different place. We're going to destroy our country. Our country is going.
Actually,
it's horrible.
You know, there's more to that story. They are here legally. Yeah. And there are programs that the current administration has put into place to do those flights.
You know, things are rough whenever Harris Faulkner, of all people, is forced to fact check Trump or risk another lawsuit stemming from his lies.
And I think America forgets that these are human beings. We've forgotten how to be polite. We've forgotten how to be respectful of different opinions. And I know that President Trump will get us back there. He really will.
This may be the most ironic and factually incorrect Alina Habba has ever said, because the politeness train left the station whenever Trump first rose to power and has been barreling down the tracks of hate at full speed since. and there may be no going back now.
It doesn't matter whether it's true. It is just how the American people can take what somebody's trying to do to manipulate their emotions and turn it into something funny. Nobody really cares whether they're eating the dogs and the cats except the owners of the dogs and the cats in the area. What we do care about is unfettered illegal immigration coming across our border with people who can't speak our language, do not know our laws, do not care to assimilate. That's what we care about. So do we make jokes out of it? Yes. But it's about the illegals.
But you went from saying Trump doesn't lie to when he brought up at a presidential debate, which is when a lot of people are making their decisions about who to vote for, people who are not already committed. He made up a story and he said, well, you don't care if that's true or not.
You don't know that he made that up.
Well, the people
There are people who have said they have seen it. And we do know, even in Venezuela, when they went full socialism, people haven't either.
Let me stop that right now. Okay, let's come back to the panel here. Okay. All right. No matter what side of the fence you're on, whether you Republican, Democrat, or Independent, we understand that there is a problem at the border. There's been a problem at the border for centuries, not for centuries, for decades. For
Centuries?
decades.
No, centuries.
Oh, okay.
It's about 1400s. Immigration has been a problem.
Okay,
About
it's been a problem here in the country.
Right.
To go out and dispute a lie, and like the lady said, we don't know whether it's made up. Yes, it is. J.D. Vance came on TV and said that he made it up. He said on CNN that if he have to create stories to get the media to pay attention to the problem, then that's what he's going to do. They know that this is a lie. This is pure hatred. Whether you're, like I said, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. To lie on someone and to put people's lives in jeopardy is just wrong. I don't care who you are. To lie on someone, tell the truth. If what they were saying was true, that's factor. Then that's okay. But now let's go back to this story. The lady that claimed that her cat was missing because some Haitian stole it and ate it, that cat was found in her basement. She found the cat in her basement. The geese that they were talking about that were taken from the park, that was taken away by a white man. But no one wants to go in and correct that story. Come on, folks. This is the problem with America right now, is that Mike and I, we talked about this earlier today. We're getting so much information, misinformation, disinformation, and most of it is done for nefarious reasons. Let's play ball the correct way. Growing up, I love sports. I played a lot of sports, but I didn't want to cheat to win. Never wanted to cheat to win. I wanted to win on my own, and that gave me a sense of pride, knowing that I won fairly and fair and squarely. I mean, come on, where does that come to? There was a day when you shook a man's hand or a woman's hand. That was your contract. But today, you can get the richest lawyer in the world to draw up a contract for you, and people still will fight it in court. And so the time when your word was your bond, I hate to see it. I hate to say it, but that's gone out of the window. So let's go around the panel a little bit and let's talk about lies. We talked about it before. And like I said, just talk about lying on people. Right or wrong, Mike?
Oh, lying's wrong. Of course it is. But I think what's happened over the years that I've been on this earth is it's become more predominant that it's somehow okay or productive to lie if it's in your own best interest. So I see from the time I was born till now, I believe I've seen an increase in people that lie because they get away with it. You have a lack of accountability in our society today on so many different levels. And lying is just one of those levels.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, Dr. Deborah, you weren't here over the last couple of weeks, but we talked about it too. When we talked about lying, and I tell you, my mom and grandma broke me out of it at an early age. We talked about that. Okay.
Literally broke him.
They broke me out of it. My mom.
Right.
That's one thing is you did not do. My mom hated. You did not lie to her. If you lied, and so you talk about
Right.
detective. Oh my goodness! I mean, this woman absolutely. I mean, she could read body language. She could read you. I mean, it was like if you lied to her. I mean, that was almost a death sentence, Dr. Demery. And that growing up,
Mother's intuition.
it was Dr. Demery. It was a death sentence. And I remember your mom. She was about maybe 105 pounds, maybe 5'1", maybe soaking wet. And boy, that was a tough little lady. She was sweet.
Look, don't let the size fool you.
Don't lie to her. Don't play with her. Mrs. Demery, she was something else, boy. But Dr. Demery, growing up, when all three of us grew up, growing up, it was a whole different time. Like Mike said, people now do it because they can get away with it. But I know when I have lied before, I had just a bad feeling in my gut. I mean, to me, it's just a very, very uncomfortable feeling. But the more you lie, I was reading something, and I want you to jump in on this, Dr. Demery, even from a spiritual standpoint. And I was reading something that people who lie and continue to lie, and they lie habitually, then it's easier for them that they don't get the same feeling that some of us do. If we say, well, okay, I told this little lie here, I don't feel good about it. They don't have the same guilt feelings that some people do when they feel they have to lie for whatever reason it is. I want you to take Dr. Demery.
Well, real quickly for me, the thing that is, I think, the most heinous and the most devastating is when a preacher gets up and lies, particularly from the pulpit. And it's devastating when a preacher doesn't know what they're talking about, and then they try to talk about it. And then on top of that, then they follow that up with a lie. And then you have some that are just, to me, this is my opinion now, you can agree or disagree with it, are just totally ignorant. And I need Ann's comment on this. There was a preacher, I won't mention their name, popular here in Southern California, I believe it was Southern California, who said he was not voting for Kamala Harris because she was a woman. And to me, that's pretty idiotic. But that was his opinion. So you have those who are out of the mainstream in extremophile attitudes. So I like you said, William, we grew up in a different time period. You got me by a couple of years. Mike, I don't know what your age is, but
he's old.
That you just didn't, your integrity and your honor was your word. And if you compromise that, it says a lot about who you are. And for the most part, people would not associate with you anymore. But now that has changed, because part of what I think Mike was saying was that people will lie for any reason to get across what they want to get across. I mean, look at some of the politicians. They will lie to manipulate, to get across what they want to get across, or to get elected. They will do anything to get elected. And I think that's just tragic,
It is. You're 100% correct. Mike and I, we were talking about that too. And you know what Mike said about politicians. He hates all of them. He hates all. Now, I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think there are some good ones, but there are a ton of bad ones. There are tons of bad ones. And the thing about it is, when you get the majority of the bad ones in power, that's where you have gridlock. That's when nothing gets done. And I don't care. Let's say it's me, you, and Mike, and we're on one board, but then we're outnumbered 2-1, or 3-1, 4-1, or 5-1, and they have the power. It doesn't matter how much good we want to do; we can't get it done if we can't get the majority to vote for it. You take Ann.
Well, it's amazing that Reverend Demery brought that up about men not wanting to vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman. One of the things that I think Mike has brought it up several times that a lot of people consider her to be a DEI hire, that diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's the new term for affirmative action. They basically they're both the hated terms, meaning that you give minorities and women a fair shake, and women have, especially white women, historically have benefited the most from affirmative action slash diversity, equity, and inclusion. So the fact that there's a group of men out there who won't vote for Kamala Harris simply because she's a woman isn't very surprising when you look at it from that historical context, because women have needed that protective status in order to get ahead in their career choices. I mean, even to this day, there's still inequality between what women and men are paid for the same exact job to this very day. And that's even worse when you factor in minority women being paid the same as their male peers. So is it sad? Is it disappointing? Yeah. Is it shocking that there are men out there who still have a problem with the woman being in a position of authority over them? It shouldn't surprise us because it's been that way for centuries. I mean, this is the time period here in modern history where women have been breaking down those glass ceilings, and stepping into those roles that traditionally they have been barred from participating in. It's been a male dominated field. I mean, think about it. Hillary Clinton was the first woman in the United States to be the presidential nominee on a major ticket. That was in 2016. That was just what, 8 years ago? 8 years ago.
That's
So,
right.
and this is in the United States. You would think that we would have been more progressive on that, but we haven't. Other places have been much more progressive in terms of women in leadership positions than we have. I mean, everybody knows the woman in Britain that is revered all over the world, as their first prime minister. What's her name? Was it Margaret Thatcher?
Margaret
I wanna-
Thatcher.
yeah,
Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher. She was revered as one of the best prime ministers, but look how long ago that was in comparison to when we have now gotten to the point where we would at least consider having a woman as a president here in the United States. You've got female prime ministers in a lot of different places all over Europe. I think even in Mexico, they just elected their first president, a
They
female
did.
president in Mexico. So this isn't surprising. This is a phenomenon that's not just an American issue. It's a worldwide issue. Women all over the world are considered second class citizens, if not worse.
That's right.
Some of them are even relegated to the role of slaves, which is horrific and to even consider in this day and age. So I think that, considering in different parts of the world, women are still being mutilated by men. Women are still, there's some places where women just got the right to drive a car. Do you hear me? To
That's right.
drive a car, like within the last couple of years.
Or
There-
even go to school.
Exactly. So I think historically speaking, and looking at where we are in today's society, on the one hand, yeah, it's a sad thing, it's disappointing, but we still made a whole lot of positive inroads in terms of getting to the point where we can even consider having Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris as president of the United States.
Absolutely. I was talking to a great friend of mine. She's out there in Longview, Kim Rogers, and she brought it to my attention several weeks ago, even before we even started talking about this. And she was saying the problem that a lot of men are having with Kamala Harris is because she is a woman. And you know what? And I agree. Some of you guys are going to disagree with me. I agree. there are a lot of men out here that do not want women to have any positions of authority. I've even heard lawmakers, um, and they happen to be Republican, that says that, okay, yeah, women, you got your degree now. Now go home and be the housekeeper. Have our
Mm-hmm.
babies. Keep our houses clean. Okay. You
Mm-hmm.
don't need that degree, but since you got it, we're glad that you have it now. You can go home and take care of my house. If this is that backwoods thinking that's been going on for years, and now you mentioned something about in certain countries right now, and I believe it was over in Saudi Arabia that women were just able
Right.
and have the right to
Somewhere
drive.
over there. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was over there also where this one woman was murdered a couple of years ago for not wearing her hijab properly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Come on, this type of
Exactly.
thing. So
Yeah.
yes,
The morality police, I think, were the ones
morality
who. Yeah.
police. Come on. There are certain places like that are still treating women as second class citizens. And I can't understand how these men can marry these women, lay down with these women, have children with these women, and disrespect them. I don't understand that. I really don't understand it. I never will. And I
Mm.
noticed to be a fact because I work with some men like that. I
Mm.
remember I was a partner at a certain a major firm. I was a partner in a major firm,
Mhm.
and one of my co-partners was a female uh,
Mm.
who used to be my boss, and I got promoted to have the same position she did. And
Wow.
one of her agents came in, and because he used to always come in, and because my expertise was a little bit different, I dealt a lot with finances, mutual funds, stocks and bonds, and things of that nature. And so he came in one day, and I said, "Hey, how's it going, man? That boss of mine. The problem is that she's a woman." I said, "Hold it,
Mm.
dude. Hold it.
Mm.
Hold it.
Mm.
Hold it.
Mm.
Hold it.
Mm.
Wait a minute." And I said, "You talking about Cheryl?" He said, "Yeah. That's you know how women are." I said, "How are they?" "Well, they can't do anything right, and no, I don't respect her." I said, "Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question." I said, "Are you doing what you're supposed to do?" Because he was failing. I said, "Are you
Mhm.
doing what you are supposed to do?" "Well, I'm
Mm.
not doing as well as I would like." I said, "Are you following her instructions?" "Well, no, not really." And I said, "So because of your failures, you are blaming her?" Come on.
Right.
And so I know that to be a fact. I've been around men all the time, a lot of time. Oh, that woman. The reason why I didn't go right because there was a woman. You got men like that, and some are more extreme than others. Some think that the women's supposed to stay pregnant, barefoot and pregnant, and cook, take care of the house.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I'm bringing this. I'm glad you started with this, Demery and Dr. Demery and Ann, because Mike sent me something earlier this week. We talked about this a little bit off the air too. And President Obama, there are a lot of people that's upset with President Obama. And why are they upset with President Obama? Because after he did this rally for VP Kamala Harris, after he did this, he went and talked to a bunch of black men. And he was at black men that were on the fence, didn't know who to vote for, or weren't going to vote for her in the first place, weren't going to vote or vote for Trump. And
Mhm.
he addressed this thing. He addressed it that the reason why could it be that because she's a woman, and these guys got all offended about it. About it, it didn't offend me one bit. What I'm gonna do, I'll play a little bit of that clip. Then we're gonna
Mhm.
come back and talk about it because I think that he is exactly right. Well, that's just my opinion. But
Mm.
hey, I want you guys' opinion on the way back. Let's do this. This is Stephen A. Smith, and he is criticizing President Obama.
It's specifically the presidential election, which is just over 2 weeks away. National polls show former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris essentially in a dead heat heading towards November 5th. Both campaigns were on the trail over the last week or so, including this weekend, including some of the surrogates as well. And for Kamala Harris, that would include former President Barack Obama, who hit the trail stumping for Democrats. The former president made headlines this weekend, actually a few days before this weekend as well, speaking to a forum of black men in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Obama spoke directly to all men who may be considering not voting or voting for Donald Trump in this election cycle. Before I go any further, I want you to hear exactly what this man had to say.
I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable.
Respectfully, President Obama, what you said is not acceptable.
Stop it right there. Stephen A. Smith, what you're saying right now is not acceptable.
I'm going to say it again. Respectfully, what you said is not acceptable. Not to me, not to a host of black men out there.
Really?
Who's not even thinking about voting for Donald Trump. What you said is unacceptable. I'll tell you why in a minute. But before I do that, I want to go to Khalil Thompson, co-founder and executive director of Win with Black Men, who responded to criticism of Obama's comments. Take a look at what he had to say here. Quote, I believe President Obama is speaking to a tangible, visceral understanding of what it means for all men to relate to women in America. Calling out misogyny is not wrong.
That's right.
End quote. To co-founder Khalil Thompson, you're wrong too. And what you said is unacceptable. You see, what you're missing is that you're basically accusing black men who come up with a reason to not support Kamala Harris as engaging in misogyny. Whatever happened to disagreeing without being disagreeable, President Obama? What happened to that? All of a sudden, we want to challenge men and our love and our affection as black men for black women. We want to bring that into question because we've got an election coming up and people may have the temerity to think differently than you. It's because she's a woman that she's in danger of losing this election? Didn't Hillary Clinton win the popular vote in 2016?
Yeah, but didn't she lose the electoral
Didn't she
college?
get over 2.8 million?
Okay, let's stop it right. Let's go back to the panel here for a second. Let's go back to the panel. I'm gonna stop that screen. Oh boy, I wanted to leave. Nope, we're gonna go here. Okay. Talking about misogyny. Okay. What is the meaning of misogyny? What is the meaning of misogyny? Now, do we understand it is hatred of, contempt for, or prejudice against women or girls? So, what President Obama said wasn't wrong, because you do, and we just talked about this, and I'm glad we talked about it before I showed that clip, because there are a bunch of men that I don't care whether she's black, white, Japanese, Chinese, Russian, it doesn't matter, that will not vote for a woman and put her in power because she is a woman. Come on, let's get that straight. All right? And to downplay that, you are a fool. Anybody who downplay that is a fool, because through the history of this country, because you have to understand, at one time, women didn't even have the right to vote here in this country. You guys remember that? It didn't matter what color they were. Women didn't have the right to vote. Okay? There have been men all the time, and I just gave you example after example talking about how men do not respect women in authority, or because she is a woman. So President Obama was 100% correct, because you have to understand those. And I'm not. He should have been addressing all men, not just black men, but he wanted to address them in particular, and he wanted to talk to them, because you have to think about who he was addressing and who got offended by this. These were men that were not going to vote for her in the first place. Okay, these
Right.
were men that weren't going to even vote, or men that were going to vote for Trump. And why would you ever want to vote for somebody who's been a racist all of his life and is still a racist? Going back to 1972, when him and his dad got sued for housing discrimination. And I'm gonna tell you a personal story. My mother used to take, after she retired, and even before she retired, she used to take bus excursions. And my mom, well, she did learn how to use a computer several years before she died. I showed her how to send her first email. But what she used to do, and she was absolutely great, she would gather, I mean, hundreds of people and take them on bus excursions. Sometimes my mom used to take 2 and 3 buses up to New York, New Jersey, Washington, D.C. And how she was able to garner all of those people together is truly amazing. She was like a magnet. She attracted people. People loved being around her. And so she took a trip up. They took a trip to New Jersey. I believe it was to the Taj Mahal, as a matter of fact, years and years ago. And my brother was on that bus. I was in California at the time, and they stopped by the Taj Mahal, or one of Trump's casinos, because you know he bankrupt 3. Now, how in the world? Okay, how you bankrupt 3 casinos when the house when the house is always favored? How you do that? I don't know. But you give it to him, he'll mess it up. But anyway, the bus stopped in front of his, or the buses stopped in front of his casino. They wanted to get off. Someone wanted to go in and gamble and do whatever they wanted to do, and some wanted to use the bathroom. They were denied entrance into that casino. They were denied interest in that casino, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now. That's a personal story. So I know it for a fact. And also, there are stories that when certain dignitaries or whatever it is came in, or high money rollers or whatever came into his casinos, he would clear all of the black dealers off of the floor and put white dealers there.
Ain't that something?
That's a fact. He was said that he would never let a black man count his money. He wanted someone with he wanted a Jewish man, somebody with a yarmulke on to count his money.
What?
Okay. The Central Park 5. He took a full-page ad. Okay. I mean, he spent tens of thousands of dollars on that ad for these young men. They were black and Hispanic who were innocent. And he called for their execution. He never apologized to those guys. So when President Obama was going to these guys, said, "You thinking about voting for this guy?" Okay. Now understand, you have other people who don't have that history. You have other racists who didn't have to come in contact with him on those bases right there. But as a black man, you want to vote for that guy? Okay. Versus this sister over here that's giving you, she's laying down some groundwork for what she wants to do, whether you agree with it or not. Some people say, well, what are her policies? What is his policies? He has no policies at all. She's telling you what she wants to do. She's telling you that she wants to go on and provide money for brand new businesses open up. She tells you that she wants to improve the infrastructure. She tells you she wants to improve on jobs. She tells you that she wants to improve the border. She tells you these things she wants to do. Whether she delivers those or not, that remains to be seen. But at least she has a plan to go forward with that. So with President Obama, and we can go around the panel talking about this. Yes, I agree with him 100%. And those guys who got their feelings hurt, woo. Who cares? Okay. And so when did men stop being men and start being wimps? Oh, I got my feelings hurt. So what? Get over it. All right, you're a man. Suck it up. So if he said something that wasn't true, then yeah. But to me, I didn't get offended because I think he's exactly right. There are a portion of men that will not vote for a woman in power. Okay. And Dr. Demery, I'm gonna go back to you. You and I
Well,
went
I think
we went to hold on
I
one
think
second. This is what I want you to address, please, please. You and I went to a church, and going back a couple of pastors at that church, he would not let a woman in the pulpit to preach because she was a woman. Am I right about that?
you're absolutely right.
And like
That was
and
just what
was
I was
saying,
getting ready to comment on.
go ahead, please, please.
Well, I
Dr.
was going to say that, I mean, Mike probably knows, I'm sure Ann and you know, William, that there are others who I think are in the dinosaur age and who are very archaic in their theology, who will not allow a woman to come and speak in
Mhm.
their pulpits. They have to speak
Right.
either like down, from a lectern or something like that.
That's right.
And I mean, to me, it's a shame. I mean, who was the first person when Jesus died who went to the tomb? I mean, come
Right,
on now.
right, right.
Let's not get into all the scriptural texts, and I don't want to throw, grenades, but there is people, part of like what you were saying, William, that are easily offended no matter what happens.
Mm.
And being a pastor for several years, and William, you know this, and you know it, Mike, you know it, that you cannot please everybody, and there's always going to be somebody that's going to hurt you. I mean,
Mhm.
you, no matter how much you try to love them, no matter what you tell. Look what they did to Jesus. I mean, his
Right, right,
greatest gift, he said, was to love. They killed him.
right, right.
That's my comment, William.
Yeah, yeah. And Mike, I will tell you, and a lot of things are hidden from us, right? But
Mhm.
there is an underbelly of people that, for whatever reason, and you have to think about it. Your mother was a woman, okay? Your mother was a woman, and for you to turn around and disrespect women and say they shouldn't be in a position of power. Oh, by the way, let me back up because the topic today, and I told Ann about this yesterday. If you guys saw my Facebook post, and I was talking about the show today, I
Mhm.
said, sometime the best man for the job is a woman.
Right, right. Amen.
Okay. And I'm gonna tell you, and my take on that is if you look at who runs the household, who organizes the household, who takes care of the budget, who takes care of the children, who organize things there. So why can't that woman with those skills there, and women in general have those instinctive skills there to do those things, why can't they run a country? Okay,
Mm.
we've had 46 presidents so far, and all of them have been men, and look how men have screwed that up.
Well, we wasn't gonna say nothing, but okay.
Well, well, history will tell you men have screwed that
Right,
up. So
right.
why not give a woman a chance? Mike said he'll be right back. So Ann, let's get your take, and we'll come back to that. We'll come back to
Well,
Mike.
um, I will say this when it comes to people looking at women as needing to be in the house and needing to just take care of children and all of that. A lot of it does stem from I won't just say the way that people have been raised historically, but a lot of it has stemmed from erroneous interpretations
Mhm.
of God's word.
Mm.
Um, the book of Proverbs tells you about a woman, what God says a woman should be. And I have heard it preached a million times with emphasis on her being with her maids in the house and sewing and all that kind of stuff. What they all miss, every single one of them, is God saying she goes out and she purchases a field with her money and she does this and the men congratulate the man on the wife that he has. They sit around telling him he got a good woman. So the woman that's depicted in the Bible that men use to preach us into the house, into roles of servitude, basically, to them. Um, is not even what they have depicted her to be. God's model woman is more like the women today who run their households as well as have jobs, as well as make their own money, as well as contribute, to their entire, not just, their family, but their societies. It's more than just homemakers. That God makes it very clear that was not his vision for us. But you have men who have been saying just the opposite for so long that not only do they believe it, the women believe it. It's one thing for men to look at us and want us to be, in a subservient type of role. It's another thing to listen to other women say the stupidest things. It's the equivalent of listening to the Ramaswamis and the other house Negroes that stomp for Trump. It's the same thing, except it's women bashing women who feel like she can't do it just because she's a woman. Y'all, this woman has been ordained from birth to be a glass ceiling burster. She has been the first woman of color to do so many different things in her short 59 years of life. I think she's 59, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so for her to be not only, I think it was the first black attorney general, female attorney general of
That's right.
California, then the first black and female vice president of the United States.
That's
now
true.
She's the first black woman to be on a major ticket running for president of the United States. This is what she was born to do. Okay, so you can get mad about the anointing that's on her life if you want to, but you cannot deny that it is there.
That's right.
She has been anointed for this. This is just what God has ordained on her life. So you can hate it. You can say that she is not qualified. You can call her a D, whatever you want to say. But what God has ordained and what God has anointed to be is just gonna be.
That's right.
And I really do feel sorry for the women on the planet who can't see past the mediocrity that men have regulated them to, when that has never been God's will for us.
And you're 100% correct. And I don't understand. And I think I can sum this up to these women that you're speaking of have been brainwashed to believe that they're less than. And it's just like anybody else that these people want to put down. They pound this in your head so long. You're not this, you're not that, you're not qualified, you're not educated, you're not smart, you're not in. And after a while, getting beat over the head over and over and over again, you develop a syndrome. There's a syndrome that's developed there, and you may start believing it yourself. You may start believing it yourself. It's just like I've heard parents tell their children, "Oh, you are no good. You're just like your daddy. You'll never be this. You never be that. You never be this. You never be that." After a while, that people are going to get numb to it. They're going to start, oh, well, okay, if you say I'm no good, then guess what? I might as well go and act out. I might as well go and do what you say I'm going to do. I might as well live up to your expectations of me. But these women have been brainwashed to the point. It's just like we talked about abuse and why women would stay with abusive husbands or abusive mates or whatever it is. And so it starts with this thing, Dr. Dimmer, where it starts with a little yelling, and then that yelling goes into a little shove. Then that little shove goes into a slap. Then that slap gets into a punch. Okay, and these people are beat down, and their self-esteem has been taken away from them. That they feel that they have nowhere else to go, and especially if they don't have the resources to get out of there. So they've been brainwashed to a point that they start believing it. They say that's why it's so hard for women to get out of abusive situations. And I think the same thing happens with men, but with men, I think it's less. and then it's way underreported for a man to do so. Dr.
Right.
Dimmer told a story years ago when he was on the ship, and one of his shipmen, I guess that's what would you call him, shipmen, Dr. Dimmer, that his wife was beating him over the head with a rolling pin.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And so Dr. Dimmer had to stop her from coming up on the ship one day. I think, yeah, she was going to come up on the ship, you know, and I don't know what she was going to do to him, but Dr. Dimmer I would not allow her on the ship. Okay. But
well, I had a cousin who was in an abusive relationship. His wife used to wear that head out. She was a mean, evil something. Everybody was scared of her. She would beat the fool out of him and anybody else. I think she would one of his baby mamas too.
Look, I had look, not me, brother, not me. I tell you what, I had a girlfriend a long time ago, and she took me out for my birthday. She had bought a brand new Mustang. This thing was a beautiful candy apple red Mustang. It was an awesome ride. So she picks me up in a brand new car, and she takes me out to dinner. And so where do we go? She takes me to Sizzler. Okay, all right, that's fine. That's cool. All right, I'll do Sizzler every now and then. And because I'm a friendly guy, and I was laughing and joking with the waitress. And boy, her nose, just expanded like a dragon, right? And she was angry. Oh, you slipped her your phone number, didn't you? I bet you did. Okay. Wow. And I spent my money taking you out to Sizzler for your birthday. I started laughing.
Did you slip her your number?
No, I did not. I should have.
Mike said, first of all, let's get to the crux of the problem. Is it true?
No, actually, it was not true. I wish I had.
You just went back after y'all broke up.
The waitress wasn't bad looking at all. I wish I had. I'm getting accused of doing. See, this is the thing. I'm getting accused of doing things I didn't even do. Right?
Well, were you flirting with her? I mean, was it flirtatious? Okay.
He was just being William.
Yeah, I'm just being myself.
Okay, well,
but she didn't like the idea that I'm talking to another woman and we're laughing and joking and this type of thing. So she swore up and down. I had just I had known this woman for a while. I mean, that's the way she took it. I had known this woman for a while and I'm flirting with her and all this kind of stuff. And none of that was true. And now I'm many miles away from home. So I've got to play it cool because I don't have a ride back. I have no way of getting back. Okay. And so
he didn't have a skateboard with him.
I didn't have a skateboard. I didn't have a bike. I didn't have anything, right? And so the thing that really did it for me and that ended that relationship really quick, it was she said, if I ever catch you cheating on me, something really bad's gonna happen to you. So
did I waited. Say that?
Oh yeah. And so I waited until I got home. And I got out of the car. She said, "You want me to come in?" I said, "Oh no." I said, "We're done. We are done. Over." Okay. And so she stalked me for weeks. Okay, but I cut that off right then because I said, "You know what? This woman is nuts." You know. I could turn around and this woman stab me in my neck or something. No, absolutely not. No. But the point is, these abusive relationships, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on this year. Abusive relationships, they're bad, and a lot of these women, they have been. We were talking about, Mike, I think when you left out, how women are in these situations, but they don't want to leave. They don't know how to leave. You know. And so
I had to walk away to do my laundry, but I was listening.
Well, he said he got other stuff to do tonight.
Yeah, I understand.
He got other things to do.
I understand you have more important things to do, Mike. Like washing your underwear and stuff like
that.
That's
right. Clean underwear is vitally important.
All 7 of my Speedos were in the dryer, so I had to get them out.
Right. That cannot wait. We need clean underwear, especially when they're making runs on toilet paper. We need clean underwear.
Yeah. Oh, but no, this is the thing about it, though. So yes, so I do understand. So women, I think historically and nationally, I don't think women overall have been treated properly. I really
Right.
don't. But like I said, and we just said, I think it was a while before women could even vote or anything like that.
Right.
And so a lot of men look down on that. And I can't understand why the same person that you profess to love, you won't give them the same respect that you would give another man. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Mike, you stepped away. Hope the Speedos are in good shape. And what's your take?
Well, they're not wrinkled, which is a good thing. You don't want to wear wrinkled Speedos.
Speedos don't
And
wrinkle.
they're no longer stained. That's the point.
Nor have they ever been, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And let me make something perfectly clear here, by the way, because I got to go back a few stages here.
Yeah.
William, no matter how old I get, you know what? You're always going to be older than me.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I do
That's
want to
a fact.
address the I'm sorry, Ann, did I cut you off there?
No, I just said that's a fact. I was agreeing with you.
Say what?
I do want to address something that we were talking about earlier about the wage gap with women and stuff.
Right.
And there's one, two, three, four, five. There's 6 of us that regularly come onto this panel. And I would say as a deputy and as an investigator, what I got paid in the sheriff's department was exactly the same thing that the ladies I worked with got paid.
Excellent.
If you go to the supermarket, that male cashier checker gets paid exactly what the female checker gets paid. So does a wage gap exist? It does, but I think it's going away, which is a good thing. Just like I think racism is going away because we're all blending more together and we're all starting to understand that we're all just people here. And William and I were talking earlier, and I told him, I just want the most qualified person for the job. I don't care about your skin color. I don't care what kind of genitalia you got. I don't care about your age. I just want the most qualified person. And I have worked under some very qualified ladies. One of the best captains I ever worked for was Val Tangway out of Central Division here. She was absolutely magnificent. My mother ran a very large law firm in Ventura County. And I think I've mentioned this before. Even the partners, the law firm partners and all of the associates there, they all respectfully called her Mother Ward.
Right.
My mother had an education that was unbelievable. And she was extremely articulate. No disrespect to my pop. My pop was a brilliant man too, but he was brilliant in a different way. My mother had a lot of, I guess I would say, book knowledge. And in her day, she was relegated to being an office manager for a law firm and she ended up being a paralegal. But if it would have been in today's time, she would have been an attorney.
A partner, probably a partner of the firm.
That's exactly right, Mike.
So
go on. I'm sorry, Mike.
I don't want to hear anything about women not being capable or as able-bodied or able-minded as men, because I know different. I know different from my own experiences. And I think I'm pretty sure it's getting better just based on what I just said. The deputies are all paid the same thing. The supermarket, they're all paid the same thing. And as a judge, I think your counterparts are probably paid exactly what you're paid. Dr. Demery, I'm not sure how it works with the clergy and stuff. I think it's maybe based on the location in the church itself. But and then when we get to like Dr. Sims, in her professions, she's had multiple professions. I think she probably was getting an equal amount of pay in her profession. So I think it's going away. Does it still exist? Yeah. Does racism still exist? Yeah. But I think it's getting better. That's my perspective anyway.
It could be. It could be, but it still exists in certain areas. When you said something about when you asked Ann a question, Ann kind of shook her head a little bit.
Well, it's like this. You may have pockets of places, like for instance, it's really good to know that where you worked, everybody was paid the same, but that's not the same at every police station. It's not the same at every law firm. It's not the same at every grocery store. It varies from one place to another as to whether or not employers are treated equitably. And whether or not employees rather are treated equitably by their employers. So while I do think the fact that we have laws in place and we have a lot of activism on that point, like for instance, the major strikes that we've been having in the auto industry, with the shipping industry, that brings to light the inequitabilities that you see in different industries, from whether we're talking about nurses not being paid fairly, whether we're talking about laborers not being paid fairly, even farm workers not being treated fairly, paid fairly. It's one of those things that it's still there. It's hard to know what's happening because I have the privilege of knowing what employers like to put in their policies. And do you know some employers make it a violation of policy if you talk about your income with
That's
other
right.
people? You can get fired. You're not they shouldn't do that, but they do. They will make it a big deal about workers finding out from their colleagues how much this person is making and how much that person is making. They like, you just don't talk about that.
That's
Um,
right.
so while I think we do have things in place that help, like unions and whatnot, there's still issues, and it's the same thing with racism. I was reading in the Guardian the other day about in Europe they have created or tried to create. It's not a secret anymore. A secret society, and it's run by this guy who wants to run a Trump style campaign, as he put it, over there. But I think it was mostly people in Germany and the UK, if I'm not mistaken, that they were talking about in this particular article. But they're basically trying to recruit, um on the down low, so to speak, trying to recruit young men into a army, so to speak. It was really chilling to read about the type of hatred that they have. They are promoting remigration. They want to get rid of the people who aren't white that are in Europe and send them back to where they come from, that type of thing. So it racism exists everywhere. It exists in South America just as much as it exists in North America. It exists in Europe, South Africa, Australia. It exists everywhere. And I think as a culture, we are trying to do better, but here lately we've taken some huge steps backwards.
Absolutely, we have. As a matter of fact, there are just like Trump is talking about, he's going to do mass deportation. And he's not talking about deporting any white folks. He's not talking about that. When he talked about the
Yeah,
hate,
that's called remigration. That's what he means when he says that. He wants to
that's right.
remigrate people.
Pretty words.
That's exactly right. And see, and this is today, folks. We're talking about 2024. He's talking about that. And so when it was brought out to him just by Harris Faulkner, which shocked me when she brought up the fact that these Haitians were here legally, he still wants to send them back. J.D. Vance still wants to send them back to Haiti. And there was someone who's on his 2025 project that talked about that Haitians should still be in slavery for the next 30 years. They still should be in slavery for the next 30 years. So you got people thinking like that in 2024. There, I don't have the clip right now, but there is a video on this. And this guy is talking about it. So you got a bunch of people who's working undercover, and see, they're not as overt as they used to be. But let me take that back. They are more overt now than they have been over the last 15, 20 years or so.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
it's coming out a little bit more now. They're taking the hoods off. You know, they're taking the sheets off here now, and
Yeah.
to a certain degree. Okay, but that still
Mhm.
goes on. Yeah, Mike. It depends on who your employer is, based on that. In certain situations, that's why you need things like affirmative action. You need to make
And
sure.
unions and stuff
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
right. You need to make sure that everybody's treated fairly, folks. And that's why it makes me.
I'm agreeing with you, by the way, William. I'm
Oh,
agreeing with you.
wow.
I know it exists. I know it does.
No, I know you. I didn't say you disagreed. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that at
Just
all.
want to be clear.
But I do want to say this thing. What really irks me when people start talking about DEI, folks. Don't you know if it weren't for DEI, we wouldn't be advanced as we are right now? Did you know that?
Right.
Look at inventions. Look at agriculture. Look at architecture. Look at everything. As a matter of fact, because of a black woman is the reason why we're even on the screen right now. You guys didn't know that, did you? Reason why we're on the screen. Now, that's what we talk about diversity. Diversity is not a handout. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is not a handout. They still pick the best of the best. And see, what happens is that has been turned around to be a foul word in so many places there. DEI. Kamala Harris is a DEI person. What are you talking about? She has more experience than you take the last 4 presidents, including Obama, okay, including Bush. Okay, we know Trump had 0, so you know, but all of them in there, okay, Bush, and even before that, she has more experience than any of them combined. Combined. So what are you talking about? She doesn't have experience. Explain that. What experience do you want her to have? The woman is a lawyer. She was a prosecutor. She was a district attorney. Okay. She was a
Attorney General.
Attorney General, a senator, a VP. What experience? How much more experience does she need? How much more experience does she need? You put her up against anybody in Congress right now, put her up against anybody in the Senate right now, and she has more experience than most of them. She has more experience. So what do you want her to do? Well, she didn't do anything while she was vice president. What did Pence do? What did Pence do when he was vice president of Trump? Okay, except for lick his boots. What did he do? You do not hear about the vice president, folks. Let's get this straight. The vice president is there as the hand or the arm of the president. Okay, the vice president gets very, very little attention at all. Okay, the vice. What do you want her to do? Well, she was the border czar. That's a damn lie. She was not the border czar. Cut that mess out. She was not that. Okay. What? Well, I tell you what. And then if you want me to go down to things that she did do, but was she assisted Biden in? How about the Infrastructure Act? How about the PAC Act? How about the CHIPS Act? Okay. How about increasing Medicare? Okay. How about all of those things that she did do? But she doesn't get credit for most of them. And guess what? A lot of times she doesn't get credit for them because she's a woman. Oh, I've got a comment from Kim Rogers, one of my favorite fans, and she says they are, speaking of men that are trying to disparage Harris. She said they are cowardly lions. Okay, they all come from women, meaning that the women had you. Okay,
Right.
they have daughters. They may have daughters. Are you going? Okay, this is excellent right here. She said, "Are they going to feel the same way if their daughter is running for president? Are you going to feel the same way if your own daughter aspires to be and gets to the position that she can be president? Are you going to say the same thing or feel the same way? Or how about your wife? Or how about your sister? Come on, man. I've said the men have screwed this thing up long enough. Give a woman a chance to do something. I tell you what, I really believe that she can do the job. And I think she would probably go down as one of the best presidents ever.
Amen.
That is my opinion. That is my opinion. You guys don't have to agree. But guess what? the beauty of me having my own opinion, because it's mine.
I think that's the beauty of everybody having their own opinion.
Okay. Okay.
You're free to think what you want,
You're
feel what
free to
you
think the
want,
way I want.
express
But
yourself. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the beauty of it for everybody.
look, I'm telling you right now. So now I agree with President Obama. I agree with you, Kim. That's right. They
Mhm.
are cowards. They are
Same.
cowards. And guess what? And if you think you can do a better job, then go out and prove it. But these people are sitting there with their fat bellies on the couch complaining.
Well, you got to
Complaining.
look at it this way, William. It if you listen to their rhetoric, they always blame somebody else for issues that are going on. It's
Mhm.
Mexican people are taking their jobs.
Yeah.
It's
The black job.
people crossing the border are getting free handouts.
Mhm.
It's and it's for some men, women are taking the jobs they would have had. They could have been supervisor if it weren't for the fact that this affirmative action slash DEI hire was promoted above them, and now telling them what to do. It's the same thing. It's always this person is the reason for another person not getting what they want or what they feel they deserve. Now, don't get me wrong, I do know that there are those cases where you have people who are part of a good old boy system, or um it's nepotism or whatnot, and people get
Mhm.
overlooked. Those things do happen. But to say that this person is taking your job because this person is black, or because this person is Hispanic, or because this person is a affirmative action slash DEI hire. Um, I think a lot of the time is disingenuous. It's not fair to say that that's what's happening, because let's look at what you've been doing. Have you been showing up to work on time?
Uh-huh.
Are you qualified for this job? Do you have the degrees? You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
a lot of the times you have people who think that they should get a position just because of the color of their skin versus what they actually know, and what they've actually done, in terms of the knowledge, the skills, the education, the expertise. It's more like they feel entitled to it, and
Mhm.
that's the problem. For
Mhm.
so long, people were getting jobs simply because of white privilege,
Mhm.
and laws had to be put into place to make sure that other people were able to get jobs, because otherwise they wouldn't have gotten them. And unfortunately, we do still need those protections today, because if we didn't, there have been about how many millions of people who voted in the last election for the Republican
Wow.
candidate who agree with going backwards instead of moving forwards. But and so
Mhm.
I think, like Mike said, racism has gotten better. I think racism has gotten better in large part because laws were put into place, in large part because of what's gone on before the civil rights movement. So many different people shining a light on the inequities and the just absolute nonsense that racism really is, and how it's how it just basically rips apart not just our country but people's whole lives. When somebody's sitting in their own home doing nothing, and they get shot and killed, or they're going for a run in a neighborhood, and they get attacked and killed. Those types of things just shouldn't happen, and they hurt the individual, they hurt the community, they hurt they hurt the family.
Mhm.
They hurt, and as you could see by the fallout, of what happened in 2020, where there was um, uh, a wave all over the world of people falling in behind Black Lives Matters. It wasn't just a United States thing. It reverberated with people everywhere around the globe because it's happening all around the globe. So I think that while we're getting better, the fact that we're bringing attention to it over and over and over again, that we're not allowing it to linger and go unanswered, I think that's what's helping us. The people that want to shut all that down, the people that want to get you to go back to cowering in the corner and just doing what we say do and letting us steamroll all over you, those are the ones who are the problem. Those are the ones who would like to bring racism back to the forefront. And the last 8 years, they've been doing a really good job of making racism a big fat
Right.
red target for everybody to see. I think it's just going to be really difficult putting that genie back in the bottle, because so
Yeah.
many of them are upset about everything. They're upset about climate change taking their jobs and the clean energy jobs coming in. You know what I mean? They've just got so many complaints right now, and
That's
they
right.
don't seem to understand that it's only going to get worse if we don't do something about, say, for instance, climate change, and start bringing in clean energy jobs. Then the stuff you saw that just went on with Hurricanes Helene and Milton is only
Right.
going to get that much worse.
That's exactly right. I couldn't agree with you more. And to ignore that is being stupid. As a matter of fact, I remember going back some 10, 15 years ago. I believe Al Gore was the one that first started talking about climate change. I really do. And they were talking about it, and they explained it. And that with all the carbon emissions that we are releasing to the air, what happens, it goes up there and it forms in the clouds, right? And then when it comes down, when it comes back down, then say, for instance, you have snowfall. And then what happens is when it comes down, then those little particles are still in that snow, whatever it is, right? And the sun reflects on it, and it acts just like a magnifying glass. It acts like a magnifying glass. And if you don't believe me, Dr. Demery and I, and Ann, you were then, Mike, this is maybe before I met you. We had met each other, but you weren't on the show then. You weren't on the show. But we talked about how the ice was melting up in there in the Arctics. Is it Antarctica?
Yeah, they've got vegetation growing there in some spots now.
Yeah. But what happens is it messes up the entire ecosystem. It's killing the natural habitats there, like the polar bears and things of that nature. That's in they are inhabitants of that particular region. Okay, how the ocean is rising, icebergs chipping off, big huge chunks of ice is chipping off and floating into the ocean. And Trump talks about, well, we'll have more beachfront property, something stupid like that. But
no, you will not. You will have less beachfront property.
Yeah, you think about it, you're gonna have less beachfront property. So that gives you an idea. That gives you an idea. But seriously though, climate change is real. Okay, and because we have not really been a good steward of this land that we've been.
We have not.
We have not been a good steward of it. The pollution. There are areas in the ocean where there is a whole island. Dr. Dimmer, you could tell us where this is. There's a whole island that is nothing but trash that has collected in one area. Dr. Dimmer, I know you know where this is, and how plastic and all kinds of rubbish and all kinds of garbage and it's all has collected into there. It's an island there of trash. Can you tell us what it is, Dr. Demery? I know you know.
I have heard about it, but I'm not exactly sure the location. I know it's somewhere along the equatorial plate, along the equator, because the water is warmer there, but I'm not exactly sure where it's at, to be honest.
I'm gonna do some more research on that. But it's a whole island, Mike, of trash, and we as I'm talking about collectively, and not only here in the United States, but this somehow this has all gathered into one area there, and I'm talking about is formed an island there, and it's
called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Wow,
Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Wow. Yep. Absolutely. And because we've done this, and I think that we owe it to our children and our grandchildren and our future grandchildren and great grandchildren to take care of this place, because we're leaving them with a dirty planet. We're leaving them with the climate out of control. Okay, we're leaving them with a deficit that they'll never be able to pay out of or get rid of. I mean, come on, it makes no sense. But I want to get to something here. I want to get to something real quick, and we can go right around the panel because I want to give everybody a chance to just go and say whatever they want to say. It offends me when somebody comes in that they're taking away, they're taking your black job. What in the hell is a black job? What is a black job?
It's what racist white people think black people should do, and
right,
normally that's something that's dealing
is that a job that is too good for you? I mean, it's not good enough for you. Is that what you're telling me?
Right.
A black job. Really?
Anything that's in the like food service, tending yards,
yes,
all that kind of
yeah.
Right. They see any job that's menial as supposedly a black job.
Really? Yeah. So are you telling me that's the only thing that I'm good for? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
In their minds.
Really? Okay. Well, I tell you what.
If America's made great again, that's what all
brown
people would be doing.
I tell you what, I challenge any of those stupid idiots to take that Series 7 exam that I had to take to be a stockbroker. Take that. I guarantee you won't pass it. I will guarantee, because your mind and your thinking skills, I'm not going to say critical because they aren't. Your thinking skills tell me that you couldn't even pass that. Oh, black
They're critical,
job.
just not in the way, just not in a good way. They got critical. Skills, but
that tells me. Yeah, that tells me that you are too stupid to pass a test anyway, because you don't know what you're talking about. Black job. Come on, get out of here with that mess. I mean, no, seriously, and that should be offensive to anybody, because just because I'm black doesn't mean that I can't have any job that I want or I studied for or I planned or I deserve. Are you serious right now? Am I supposed to be your butler or your maid or your servant, your driver?
Yes,
okay.
That's what that means.
They keep your lawn?
Yes.
Okay. Are you serious right now?
They are.
Oh,
They're
boy.
serious.
I'd like to point out, if I could point out very briefly, as a certified redneck, not all of us white folk think that way.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about the Amanda Nuts. We're talking about the Make America Great Again people, because for them, that's what that means.
Oh, I know it exists. Yes.
Yeah. But you know what?
Just saying, some of us rednecks, we don't think that way.
I know you're right, Mike. Because if it weren't for some of you people who think logically and correctly and humanely, the civil rights bill, the civil rights would never have gotten as far as it got. It never would have passed, okay? Because it took people like Martin Luther King. It also took people like some of you certified good rednecks, okay?
It took human beings being human beings, loving on each other.
No, it was a concerted effort. It was black, it was white, it was any person who had some decency.
Right.
That knew that right was right and wrong is wrong, good versus evil that we talked about, Mike. So no, that goes without saying. Absolutely. And when people say anything, I don't go around and say, some of my best friends are white. I don't go around. Okay. However, I do have a best friend that is white, and that's Mike.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And,
Mike and I are really...
and who did I give money to invest on my behalf?
This is what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
It's no question about it. And I tell you something. And Mike,
I think that's proof positive. A white man trusting a black dude with his money. That is proof positive. Right?
Thank you.
It's no doubt about it. And his brother did too.
Wow. And was it a positive experience? I mean, did you make money? Did you?
He's taking care of me, my brother, and my good friend Randy. We all invest with William.
That's right, and his brother is also giving me referrals. So no, it wasn't like it. Mike and I are. I look at him as a man. He looks at me as a man. I look at him as an honest man, and he does the same for me. I respect
Here
him. He
you go.
respects me. Now, are we going to argue on the boomerang? Oh yes, and I love it. I love it. You know, I love arguing. Mike like arguing too, but when we get on these shows, it's not personal at all. Okay.
Right.
But no, he's a great, great guy. I tell anybody, I'll talk behind his back. I said, yep, Mike is a great guy. In front of his face, I'll tell you. I just said that he's just wrong most of the time on the boomerang. You know, but no,
it's a character flaw. I'm sorry, William.
And then I tell you something else. And then if you look at Kamala's rallies, oh, you've got a mixture of everybody there.
And that's beautiful. That
is beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
That's what this world, whether you like a Kamala or not, but the unity there, I mean, how people are together. Just forget about her for a second. But people come together for a common cause. Whether you agree with that cause or not, that's entirely up to you. But when people are coming together and they're working in a harmonious fashion, they are joyous about what they're doing, they're energetic about what they're doing. You don't have to agree with their politics. You don't have to agree with them. But I think it's a beautiful thing when people come together and they aren't trying to do harm to anyone.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But then on the other side, you got you got a mixture of people that come in there, and it's all despair. It's downhill. I am not for anyone, number one, who is going to put my country down. Okay. Oh, this is the worst country in the world. This country is going to hell in a handbasket. Oh, you're not going to have a country anymore. Who wants to hear that? I want to hear somebody. Okay, let's forget about who the people are. I want to hear somebody that says, you can do it. We will do it. This is how we're going to do it. Let's get together, roll up our sleeves, and let's do this together.
Right,
okay?
right.
Whatever that is, whoever that candidate is. And this is my point. But I might go to a speech, Dr. Demery, or listen to someone that's going to always is doom and gloom and the world's going to hell. If you don't elect me, you don't have a country anymore. The country is this and that, the other. This guy was in Detroit the other day and says that if you don't elect him, if you elect Kamala, then the whole country is going to be like Detroit. Now, he's in Detroit.
Wow, that was me.
He's in Detroit talking to these people and telling them, well, if you don't elect me, the whole country is going to look like your city.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how well you think that went over, Dr. Demery? How well do you think that went over? Huh?
I think it was pretty sad because sometimes, you know, the old saying goes is you are what you say sometimes. And, you know, in Proverbs, it says very clearly, you know, you speak what you believe and you speak who you are. So, you know, it's kind of sad, but, you know, I think you have to be careful what you say. I mean, each one of us on this show, we voice our opinion and we state what we want to state. But for the most part, I think all of us try to base our comments and our opinions in some level of facts, you know, true facts, not just made up stuff or, you know, stuff that is fabricated. So, I mean, I to me, it's kind of sad.
It is. And I tell you, and I open this up to the panel. I open this up to the audience. If I have misspoken about something, if I've given some wrong information, please fact check me. Please. I welcome it, Mike, because if I'm wrong, I have no problem saying, you know what, I was wrong about that. Okay, I was wrong about this. I have no problems with it. But I tell you, one of the worst things in the world, and what would make me feel really bad if I knew that I was wrong and I tried to cover it up. I tried to cover it up, you know, or I'm out there giving out misinformation. Let's say all white people are bad. That's a doggone lie. That's a lie. No, that's not true. It's just like all black people aren't good.
Exactly. That's the same with any human being on this planet. You have some good ones and some bad ones, plain and simple.
Folks, that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to calling a spade a spade. Exactly. We need to call balls and strikes. I don't care if you black and you wrong. You black and you wrong.
Right,
It's just as simple to me. You know, I'm not gonna give you a break because you're black. If you wrong, you got to pay. You got to pay the price for it. If you
exactly.
white and you wrong, you got to pay the price for it. What I do want to happen is that the punishment is distributed equally.
Exactly.
That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. I don't care if you're a knucklehead. You're a knucklehead. I had to catch myself just now. Okay, you know, I tried to stop cussing, and so I've done pretty good.
Hey, William, you got to take those act right pills. I'm telling
Yes,
you,
sir.
Dr.
You
Sims
almost
is
let
right.
loose, didn't you?
Take them act right pills.
I think I got a grip on it, Mike. I think I got a grip on it because I tell you, when I
Get
first
it
started,
out.
and this is before you got on this network. I remember when I first started, almost 10, it'd be 10 years, guys. December the 31st. I remember
Wow.
when I
Praise
first got on there.
God.
Every now and then, an F-bomb would fly out. I said, I
Yes,
can't be doing
sir.
this. This can't be a
No.
family station, and I got F-bombs flying. I
Yeah,
can't do
because
that.
you were gonna get in trouble. 1 or 2 fines would have corrected that problem. FCC
No,
FCC would have helped you out with that, breaking that
I
habit.
said, I got to do better. I got to do better. And
Yes,
so I cleaned up
sir.
my act pretty good. No, Mike, hold on to the act right pills. See, that's your problem. You and Dr. Sims taking those damn act right pills. That's your problem right there. Okay,
No,
I'm
she
not
didn't
taking.
take hers today. I had to tell her she didn't take
Oh,
hers.
poor thing. That's right. We didn't acknowledge her, Dr. Sims. If you're listening, please get better soon.
Yeah,
Yeah, I understand that
yeah.
she's not feeling well.
No,
Okay.
she wasn't feeling well when I talked to her today, so she's taking some time. You could hear it in her voice. Her voice was really tight.
Oh boy.
So,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
but we
Oh boy.
laughed a little bit and it loosened up. So,
Well, that's good.
And
Okay.
her back and sciatica have just been killing her
Oh
lately.
boy.
yeah. Her
You
daughter's
know, I
gonna
tell
come
you,
and take care of her
I've never
though.
had back problems before. Mike, didn't you tell me you had a back issue once?
I was in a wheelchair at one point.
Oh boy, I didn't know
Wow,
that. This is way
really?
before I met you. This is way before. I think.
Actually, it was after you met me.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah, that was in 90. It was before I met you. Yeah,
Right.
that was in 98.
Mm,
So it was before I met you.
You know, I have
But I'm all better now, except for
good.
the obvious.
yeah,
mental
obviously,
condition.
yeah. You still need to have your head examined. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
See,
But as
see,
far as
Judge
Y'all
Ann,
something else.
that's why he calls me Mad.
Mad Mike.
MADD. That's why he calls me
Oh,
Mad Mike.
Right.
okay.
It doesn't mean that he's angry. That means
Oh,
that
okay.
he's just out there.
Okay.
No, he's not
It's hard
angry
to
about anything.
disagree with him.
But no, but seriously though, people with back issues, I don't know what that's like. My heart goes out because I have 2 brothers that have
Mhm.
back issues,
Oh,
and I
wow.
have some friends that have back issues. And the way they describe it to me, it's like, oh my God. I mean, you have to feel for them. You
Mhm.
really have to
It's
feel
like
for them.
having a rusty, wide-bladed, ugly, big old screwdriver, and somebody slams it into your back. That's what it
Yeah.
feels like.
Wow.
That's horrible. And they tell me, it says, and try to sleep.
Oh, yeah, it can
Uh,
be very uncomfortable when you're in pain.
it's hard for them to sleep. And you know, and if you don't, and number one, you've got to get the proper amount of sleep in order to
Right.
have a productive day. Yeah,
Mhm.
Mike, I got you. I understand. So anyway, let's go around. To tell you what, why don't we do this? We've got a few minutes left to go. Mike, any closing remarks?
Oh wow. Let me touch on the climate change things real quick. Our climate changes in cycles. It's normal. And if you look at the Farmer's Almanac, it shows the cycles all the time. Our sun is in an 11-year cycle, and it's coming up to its peak right now. So there's going to be interruptions in communications and weather, and things are just going to change. And unfortunately, the climate change people are going to blame humanity on this when it's actually just normal cycles. And the reason I know this to be true, because I have a Farmer's Almanac, and it shows that the cycles we're going through right now are normal. Now, let's discount that for a minute. Let's throw that out the window. let's say man is responsible for our climate change. The United States, as I understand it, is responsible for, or we're about 12% of the population of this earth. So let's say America does all this great stuff. We spend tons, billions and billions, trillions of dollars to affect climate change, and we're only 12% of the world. So what kind of, if it was true that it's man-made, then what kind of effect are we going to have when the rest of the world is out of control? You look at China and Indonesia and all Russia and all these other people that don't care about climate change at all. So what good is it going to do if we're only 12%? I don't believe a lot of stuff that's being blamed on mankind is true. I'm not a firm believer in climate change. Are we dirty human beings? Oh, absolutely we are. Do we destroy this planet in many ways? The oceans, the trash heap that Judge Han was talking about. Yeah, we're terrible, and we need to do better as a world. The United States doing their part is a good start, but we have to convince the rest of the world that they need to do their part too, because all that trash on that island that Ann was talking about isn't all created by the U.S.
That's true.
So I'm going to address that. I won't even get into Kamala or Miss Harris. Kamala. I don't want to disrespect anybody by their name, but I can't get into her without sparks shooting out of William's tailbone. So I'm not going to even try.
That's exactly right. Yeah. But you're right. We'll talk about that at another time. But a few things you just said right now with the Farmers Almanac, and we have different cycles and things like that. The climate has changed over the centuries, decades and centuries, and so forth and so on. However,
since Earth has began, it's always been in cycles.
It's always been a cycle. However, we are making things worse with our habits, because when we start emitting these pollutants into the ozones, okay, we are cutting out the filters, or we're diminishing the filters that holds the temperature back. I want to,
I'm not going to disagree with you, William. I think we have some effect, but I don't think we have the effect that the climate change crazies want us to believe we have, that we're responsible for all this stuff, because a lot of it's just cyclical.
Well,
okay. Hold on. Let me help you both. Let me help you both.
Okay, Ann.
You both are making points that are addressed by the National Park Service, which is a government website, and they have a blog.
Oh, it's from the government. We have to trust them, right?
Well, I trust this particular site. You don't have to, but I trust the National Park Service.gov. It's the NPS.gov website. And it says, there's a blog that says, isn't climate change a natural process? If it's natural for Earth's climate to fluctuate, and we have had warm periods in the past, then isn't the current warming trend part of a natural process? Should nature be capable of coping on its own? That's how the blog starts out. Well, it answers the question. Earth's temperature fluctuates naturally over tens of thousands to millions of years. Scientists take these fluctuations into account when they assess that we are currently experiencing unique conditions in Earth's history. Scientists have found only one variable to explain the relatively recent rapidity of global warming, an increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere due to human activity. By burning fossil fuels, humans have increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere by 45% since 1750. A little greenhouse effect is natural. It keeps our planet at a temperature that is suitable for human life. When sunlight reaches Earth, some of the heat reflects from light-colored surfaces like snow or ice caps and radiates back into space. The rest of the incoming heat is trapped by greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, including carbon dioxide, and warms our planet. This becomes too much of a good thing when more and more heat is trapped in the atmosphere, raising global temperatures beyond what is suitable for human life. It's true that life on Earth can generally cope well with gradual change, but the current warm up and the speed at which it's happening is unprecedented. In a few decades, scientists have noted a sharp rise in atmospheric carbon dioxide in correlation with a global temperature increase, changes that would normally occur over tens of thousands to millions of years. These accelerated changes challenge the ability of living things, plants, animals, and humans alike, to adapt and ultimately survive rapidly shifting environmental conditions. So that's very short blog, real short and sweet. I'm not saying that the almanac doesn't show these changes. From my understanding of almanac, I don't live by them, but my understanding of the almanac is that these are people who have observed the weather and the changes and they recognize the patterns, and they're able to predict, sort of like a weatherman or those models that they use, what comes next. And these people just do it in the long term. That doesn't mean that they're not taking into account climate change. It's these people, a lot of folks, if you talk to them, that are older, who, unlike us, knew a lot more about their world in terms of when a cloud was a rain cloud versus just a regular cloud, will tell you it's hotter than it was when they were kids. They'll tell you that, it'll rain on one side of the street, not the other. They'll tell you that rainwater is different from irrigation water. Seems like the plants don't grow the same when it's not water from rain versus the water that's irrigating. So I truly do think that the people who write the almanacs have that type of wisdom. And so they're gleaning that wisdom based on what they are noticing as a pattern over the course of, several years, how things have changed, and predicting how much worse it's going to get. And they do a pretty good job of it. That's my personal opinion. I personally don't know how the almanac works aside from what I've admitted to, but I think that they've just done a good job at predicting what's going to come next, because they've seen, in the past what's already happened, and they're noticing what's happening now. So they're better able to make an educated guess about what's going to happen in the future.
Hey, William.
Hey, see, Mike, I'm right.
No, I think you both made very good points. If you didn't understand, I think you've both made very good points.
I had to get my dig in before Mike got his in.
I have to apologize.
Mike finish.
Please let me apologize. I have to run. I have something pressing.
Man.
I must do. I'm always thrilled to be part of the Boomerang Show. Dr. Demery, it is so good to see your smiling face. I hope you're doing better and better every day. And I'll leave you with one thought.
Please.
If we have global warming and the ice caps are melting and the sea is rising, why are all the wealthy people, including politicians like Obama, why are they buying oceanfront property, and the insurance companies are still insuring all of these oceanfront properties? I'm just going to leave you with that little thought.
A lot of insurance companies are pulling out of
That's
those
right.
areas, especially places like Florida,
California.
I think,
but it's not because of rising ocean.
It's because of the catastrophic effects of things
Agreed.
like Hurricane Helene and
That's
Hurricane
fires,
and all of those things are due to global warming. And so they say bankrupting them. So now Florida's own insurance company that's sort of run by the state is insuring more and more people. And I think it was the Miami Herald that I read an article in last week that was talking about that going bankrupt if they don't change things. So they are literally trying to get more insurance companies to come back to Florida, because so many of them have left that area, because it's beginning to be where they're paying out, and it's not a lucrative.
They're losing money. And as a business, you can't sit there and lose money, not for long anyway.
Right.
And the same is going on.
Again, my apologies. I've got to run. It's always a pleasure to be part of this show. Thank you, William. Thank you, Ann. Dr. Demery.
Welcome. Be safe.
I have to get back with you, Dr. Demery, because I need to let me know when you're better. I got to come out and take a look at your cameras at your church.
Yeah.
Well, you can get that back to them, because I'm no longer pastor there. So I'm no longer pastor.
Oh, no.
At that church.
No, he retired.
I didn't know that. Wow. Didn't know.
Yeah, I was saddened by that too, because I loved going to Dr. Demery's church. when I wasn't going to my own church, I would go to Dr. Demer's church because I knew that after church service, I was going to eat. He
Right.
That's a fact.
Right.
Oh man, Doctor, you want
Again, my apologies. I got to run, guys. Thank you.
All right, Mike.
Bye. See you later. Be safe.
We'll talk soon, Mike. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Dr. Demer, you get the last word.
Well, I would just say I think that we have to do better. I mean, I think everybody on the panel has given a very good synopsis of things and our topic today. But I mean, I think as a whole, the world can do better. And it shows like this that allows us to discuss freely where we are with things. And I hope those that are listening know that we do give our best opinion based upon facts. And bless everyone.
Right. Oh, Dr. Demery just left you a message. She said she was trying to listen. Hey, hello, Dr. Demery. It was good to see you. So, and
Dr. Sims,
hey, Dr. Sims, thank you, and I hope you get better soon. And we'll see you soon. And any last or any parting message?
I will say that I agree that we are not being good stewards over the earth. And I think a lot of that has to do with bad doctrine that has been taught over the century, so to speak. They seem to misunderstand when the Lord told Adam and Eve, that they were supposed to take dominion over the earth. First of all, the thing that you need to understand is that your body is made of the earth. And so the first place that you are to take dominion over is the flesh that you are living in. And what that means is that you take control over the sinfulness that would come into your life instead of giving in to it. And you do this through Christ. You rule over it, and you don't allow it to rule over you. That said, when you take dominion over this place, this body that God has given you, then he can enlarge your territory and give you dominion over other parts of the earth. First and foremost, helping by bringing other people to Christ. In other words, other bodies to Christ, other people to bring their bodies in submission to the obedience of Christ. And then, of course, we do still have to rule over the actual planet that we are living on. And the best example of how to be the one who has dominion over everything is our holy God himself. He has dominion over everything. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So he takes care of every last one of us, whether he likes us or not, whether we're good or bad. He takes care of us. He everybody's going on and on about seeing the aurora borealis. The aurora borealis is God's way of showing you his protection over each and every person on this planet from the harmful effects of the sun. You get a pretty light show. If that light show doesn't show up, you will be getting fried instead. Okay. So that is the way that we are supposed to rule over the earth. We are supposed to take care of the planet and everything on it, including the water, the air, the wildlife, all of that. That's what Adam and Eve did in the garden. They took care of this place. And instead, you have had clergy members giving people the green light to rape the earth, to abuse it, and to mistreat it, and the animals, and even the people on it. And that is what's killing us. As one YouTuber said that Alex likes to watch all the time. He calls himself Natural Geographic. He's a young black man who does things on nature. He said, we messed around, and now we about to find out. Of course, he didn't say messed around. He used the other word that they like to put. And he was talking about climate change, that we messed around, and we're about to find out. And me personally, I think all of this, our sin and not taking care of the planet, plays into the last days. Because when you read in the book of Revelation about some of the things that are going to happen, like big, huge hail falling down on people and killing them, I think the conditions are getting ripe for that to happen.
Boy, oh boy.
So I just think it's all part of the process. When you read the book of Revelation, it talks about people starving and how expensive food is going to be. We're, I was reading an article last week about how we have messed up the cycle, the water rotation cycle of the earth so much that it's causing water not to show up in places, causing droughts, and then causing things like atmospheric rivers to show up in California. And so people are starving due to climate change. People
That's
are,
right.
are dying because of floods and other stuff due to climate change. So I'm of the opinion that these are just signs in the last days. But that's my personal opinion. Don't forget to tune in next week to the Boomerang Show and Eating as an Active Worship Ministries. We love y'all. Have a blessed weekend.
We love y'all. Hey, well said and well said. Hey guys, Dr. Demery, it was great. Mike, great having you. Dr. Sims, we're looking to have you back real soon. And